So you can really see how this works when you get to a topic like money, because I think for anybody, it's a culture that has so much stress about money and constant iteration, from the media and from everybody of like, oh, you may not have enough, or you should worry, or what happens if there's a loss, or what happens if somebody else has more, or what happens if, there's a need and it's not provided for, and all these things that are part of certainly Western culture very, very much. This idea of lack sort of permeates the culture. And, really, even with people that have incredible amounts of money. I used to notice that a lot back when I was giving readings. I think I wrote about it in OO. There would be people that really were millionaires or multimillionaires that were calling me for reading and in so much fear and scarcity of what if the economy crashes? What if somebody steals their money? I mean, they really were not even getting to enjoy what they had. And what came to me over those years was really that experience that the amount of money itself isn't what creates the sense of abundance. It's the knowledge that your needs will be met. It's not the amount of money. In fact, I think they even did a some study that really sort of showed after a certain amount of money, there's no true happiness that's coming from it. It's whatever amount of money in the economy that meets your needs. Yes, it's very stressful if you don't have that amount of money to have your needs met. But past that amount of money, they and some people may have seen this study. It was like there was no actual happiness that came from vast wealth. And I thought, okay, because if true abundance is about trusting that your needs are always met, then that's the point at which the divine gets invited to say, changing prayers are really helpful with this. Like, allow me to always know that every true need will always be met, or allow me to have faith that every true need will be met, or let me live from a place of divine abundance. And divine abundance is very different than the so-called abundance of a culture that's always like, if you don't own a house, or if you're not a millionaire, or if you're not traveling in, the French Riviera every summer, you're not actually abundant. And to me, I found those things don't even matter. It's really that inner sense of, is the divine your source? And is there some growing inner faith that every need, no matter what, is going to be met? And I find that these ideas are very radical in a way in this culture, because even when you go to a lot of New Age teaching, a lot of New Age teaching is about, let me visualize more. Let me visualize myself with the kind of house I want. Let me visualize myself with the kind of car I want. Let me visualize myself on vacation getting what I want there. And it's like, I'm not saying those things aren't nice, but they don't actually create an inner sense of abundance. To me, that the abundance really comes from installing the divine, installing love, that love that you felt in the meditation, hopefully, installing that source as the holder of the money. That that what Florence Scovel Shinn wrote about in The Game of Life and How to Play It, the divine becomes the source. You could call that Lakshmi, you could call that, the Indian goddess of abundance, or any other form that works for you. But what it does is it takes the burden of the manifesting, it takes all that off, and it says, no, the divine itself will be the source of all abundance, and I will be the grateful recipient. And then the changing prayer is like, allow me to know I will always have enough. Allow me to give and receive freely. That those things really come out of it belonging to love as opposed to belonging to the small self. Because I just think this is the way the small self is structured, especially in a crazy culture. The small self will never sense that it has enough, no matter how much it has. It'll look to the person next door and go, wow, but their house is bigger. Or, their vacation is longer, or, whatever. That's the nature to me of how the small self thinks, especially in a competitive culture. Once it belongs to the divine, it's very different. And then, to go back for a second to this Saturn Neptune square, a topic like money can become deeply spiritualized. So, because then it belongs to the divine. And one thing, and I wrote about it also in OO, is giving away a certain amount. I think there's a reason why tithing is mentioned in the Bible. That giving away a certain amount, whether it's meals to friends, whether it's to charity, but that you create a flow that puts you as the giver, no matter how close to the edge. At certain times, you may feel that you are. In fact, I think that makes it even more important. When you're in that place where you feel down to the edge at times, and every one of us has had that experience, rather than saying, I'm broke or money's tight or whatever, that's the exact moment to do something, even if it's very small, some act of generosity that says, no, the divine is my source. Let me do something. Let me give something. Because it puts you in that Lakshmi mentality, Lakshmi, the goddess of abundance and beauty and money, puts you in that place. And it says, Lakshmi, act through me. Let me do an action in this moment. Florence Scovel Shinn would call that a demonstration of faith. That's what you're doing, is you're saying, not going from a place of scarcity and fear. I'm going to take an action of faith. And a lot of times I do find the best way to do that is in relationship to somebody else, not just like, oh, I'm going to go buy this car for myself even though I can't afford it. I think sometimes these demonstrations of faith work really well if you do them for somebody else as an act of giving, even if it's that you're walking up to a homeless person on the street and handing them a few dollars at a time when you're thinking you don't have it. Just that demonstration that you are a vehicle for the good on the world, and that can come through you, is really powerful. So so many questions came in. Let me go to the questions because I'll be able to elaborate this more. But, for starters, I just wanted to go with that place of like, these are wonderful transits for learning how to do this. This Saturn Neptune square could not be better for going, let me take this topic of money and see it as belonging to the divine within me. Make me a flow for generosity and abundance, as opposed to how can I get, how can I scramble, how can I hold on to every bit that I have out of fear of loss. That keeps Lakshmi from being able to act through you. Also, the other thing I would say with Lakshmi, or in general with money, gratitude. A lot of people already know this, but gratitude for what you have right now, no matter what it is, always lets this goddess of abundance express herself more. And I've told that story before, that when I was in India, this guy came to me when I was at one of the temples for Lakshmi, and he said, everybody goes to Lakshmi to ask for things. By the way, if you've never seen Lakshmi, you probably have if you're on this call, but if you've never seen her, just Google an image of Lakshmi. She's so beautiful. She's usually on this pink lotus, dressed in a sari, and she has hands that hold all the various tools of this beauty and abundance. And anyway, this guy came up and he basically said, everybody goes to Lakshmi asking for things. I need this, I want that, heal this, do this. And he said they don't know that the way to charm Lakshmi, like the way to invite Lakshmi into your heart, is to be grateful for what you already have. That the minute you do that, even if it's small, even if you're saying, thank you that I have a roof over my head. I mean, that's not small, but thank you that I have a roof over my head, or thank you that I have a body that can get me around, or thank you that I have clothes to keep me warm when it's cold out. That when you come to Lakshmi with just these very specific gratitudes, day after day, she just gives you more. That's how she works. And if there's always this feeling of like, yeah, you gave me that, but really what I wanted was this, she begins to withdraw her energy. So that's what he said to me standing in line in Mumbai, and I think he's right. Um, the universe responds to the gratitude deeply. So